Dr. G.S. Raju's YouTube.
And that is the source map we're unfurling on the table today.
It really is, and it's a map I didn't think I needed until I actually looked at it. I think most of us operate under what I call the bag theory of the stomach.
The bag theory. I like that.
You know, you chew food, you swallow it, it lands in a pouch, some acid happens, and then it leaves. Just simple storage.
It's the most common misconception, but if you actually look at the source material, if you see this organ through the lens of a doctor doing an endoscopy, you realize the stomach isn't just a bag.
Not at all.
It's a highly sophisticated, multi-chambered chemical reactor with a very, very specific floor plan.
And a high-stakes plumbing system to match. That's the part that really grabbed me. We weren't just talking about the lining. We're talking about how this organ plugs into the liver, the spleen, the heart. It's surprisingly mechanical.
It's incredibly mechanical. So the mission for this deep dive is twofold. First, we're going to shrink ourselves down. We're going to act as the camera on the end of an endoscope, an EGD, and take a tour of the inside, understand the rooms of the house.
A little field trip.
And the second part. Second, we're going to step outside the organ and look at the blood supply, the pipes hidden behind the drywall. Because you can't understand a stomach bleed unless you understand what's happening, miles away in the liver.
Okay, let's do it. I've got my mental hazmat suit on. We're the camera. Coming down the esophagus. What's the first landmark?
Well, the first thing is the border crossing. You're coming down the esophageal tube, and you hit what's called the GE junction, the gastroesophageal junction.
And there's a visual marker here, right? The Z line. Is that something you can actually see?
Oh, it's very visible. It's this jagged, zigzagging line where the tissue just abruptly changes. You go from the pale, smooth cells of the esophagus to this salmon-colored tissue of the stomach.
So that's the "you are here" sign.
That's the official sign that you've entered the organ.
Okay, we've crossed the Z line. We're inside. My instinct, if I'm driving the camera, is to just go straight ahead into the big cavern.
And that is the rookie mistake. If you just drive straight, you miss the attic.
The attic. I didn't know the stomach had an upstairs.
It does. It's called the fundus. As soon as you enter the stomach, you're in the cardia. That's the foia. But the stomach actually domes upward above that entry point. So a skilled endoscopist doesn't just look forward.
They have to do a U-turn.
A retroflexion maneuver, yeah. Essentially a U-turn. You turn the dial on the scope, bend the tip all the way back, left and up, and look at the roof of the stomach. That's the fundus.
And why is that so important?
It's a huge blind spot. Gravity often pulls fluid away from it, so it's really easy to miss lesions or problems there if you don't actively look.
That makes sense. Okay, so we've checked the attic. Now we uncurl the scope, turn back around, and face the main event. The body.
The corpus, or the body, this is the main chamber. And to navigate it, you need to orient yourself by the walls. It's like a canyon. On your right, you have the lesser curve.
The short road.
Right. It's the direct inside track from top to bottom. And on your left, sweeping wide, is the greater curve.
Now, looking at the footage from Dr. Raju, the texture in here is really distinct. It doesn't look like a smooth balloon at all. It's rugged.
That is the perfect word for it. The body is lined with these thick longitudinal ridges called rugal folds.
Rugal folds.
Think of them like pleats on an accordion. Structurally, they let the stomach expand. When you eat a huge dinner, those folds flatten out to give you volume.
So that's how my stomach goes from the size of a fist to holding a liter of food.
Exactly. But functionally, this is the machinery. This is where the parietal cells live. This is the acid factory.
So if I'm driving the scope and I see these deep, trench-lined folds, I know for a fact I'm in the body.
Precisely. The texture tells you the location, but as you go further down toward the exit, that terrain changes drastically.
It smooths out, right?
Completely. The folds just vanish, the walls become flat, featureless, and that's how you know you've entered the antrum.
Is there a specific border, or does it just kind of fade out?
Oh, there's a very sharp landmark. It's a distinct bend in the stomach called the incisura angularis.
The angularis.
It acts like a lighthouse right on the lesser curve. It's almost a notch. For an endoscopist, that's your checkpoint. Above the angularis, folds, acid. Below it, in the antrum, you get smooth muscle for grinding and mixing.
Grinding. I thought that happened in the mouth.
The mouth starts it, the antrum finishes it. It's a muscular mill. It takes the food mixed with acid and grinds it into tiny particles, less than 2 millimeters, before it's allowed to leer.
Which explains why the walls are smooth there. You wouldn't want folds getting in the way.
Exactly.
Okay, so chemical factory in the body, grinding mill in the antrum, we're the bottom, the exit door.
Pylorus.
which looks like a little donut on the screen.
A very muscular donut. It's a sphincter. It's the gatekeeper. It opens and closes to let small amounts of food, now called chyme, into the small intestine.
And that gets us to the duodenum. Now, I always just thought of that as one long tube, but the source breaks it down into D1, D2, D3. What are the specifics?
You'd think it's all the same, but the anatomy just changes radically in a few inches. So you pass the pylorus and you hit D1, the bulb.
And what's that look like?
Visually, D1 looks just like the antrum. Smooth, no folds. It's like a waiting room, but it's also a danger zone.
A danger zone. Why?
Because it's the first place that acidic chyme hits. If your neutralizing juices aren't working right, this is where you get ulcers. But then you turn a sharp corner and enter D2.
And I'm guessing the wallpaper changes again.
It does. In D2, you suddenly see these circular folds, these rings. But the real star of the show in D2 is the ampulla.
The ampulla. This is the Grand Central Station moment of digestion, right?
It is. The ampulla vater. It's
Yeah.
this tiny nipple-like thing on the wall of D2. But it's critical. This is where the common bile duct from the liver and the pancreatic ducts from the pancreas join together and dump their cargo.
So you've got bile for fats, enzymes for proteins,
Right.
all mixing with the food right at this one specific spot.
Right. If the stomach body is the prep kitchen, D2 is the main cooking line. This is where digestion really kicks into high gear. And finding that ampulla is non-negotiable for a doctor.
You definitely don't want to enter that.
No. A very, very bad day.
Okay, so that wraps up the internal tour, from the attic fundus to the D2 kitchen. Now we have to switch gears and talk about what keeps the lights on.
The supply lines.
Because this factory needs a massive amount of energy. It needs blood.
The arterial supply. And this is where we have to go 3D. Step outside the stomach, look at the aorta, the main highway running down your back.
And branching off that is the celiac trunk.
The celiac trunk. A short, thick stump that immediately splits into a tripod, 3 major arteries.
Let's run through them.
First, the left gastric artery. Shoots up, feeds the lesser curve and the lower esophagus. Second, the hepatic artery goes right toward the liver, but it sends branches back to the stomach.
So it's getting coverage from both sides. What's a third leg?
The splenic artery.
The splenic. Now, this is where I want to pause, because there was this detail in Dr. Raju's breakdown that, it actually made me gasp. The imposter tumor.
Ah, yes. This is a classic gotcha in anatomy, but one with very serious consequences.
Explain this to me. How does an artery pretend to be a tumor?
So, the splenic artery heads to the spleen, and its path takes it directly behind the back wall of the stomach. Now, as we age, arteries can get tortuous. They get twisty.
Okay, like a snake.
Exactly. And sometimes a loop of this hardened, twisty artery presses so firmly against the back of the stomach that it creates a visible bulge inside the stomach.
Wait, so you're inside with the camera looking at the stomach lining and you just see a lump sticking out.
You see a distinct mass. It looks for all the world like a growth. And the knee-jerk reaction for a doctor is, that looks like a tumor, I need to biopsy that.
Oh my God. But if they biopsy it?
Exactly. If you take a biopsy needle and punch it into that mass, you're not hitting a tumor, you're puncturing a high-pressure artery.
That's catastrophic.
It's an immediate, life-threatening hemorrhage, which is why you have to know that the splenic artery lives right behind that wall.
So how do you know not to stab it?
You look for the pulse. If you watch closely, you might actually see the mass pulsating with the heartbeat. Or you use ultrasound, but you never, ever just poke it blindly.
That is just a wild ghost in the machine. It really shows you can't treat the stomach as an island.
No, it's very crowded in there. And speaking of connections, the stomach is incredibly lucky. It has this rich vascular supply where all the arteries link up. They form anastomosis.
A safety net. If one road is blocked, there's a detour.
Exactly. The left gastric links to the right gastric and so on. It's very hard to starve a stomach of blood. It's built to survive.
So the supply side is robust. But the drainage system, the veins, that seems to be where the story shifts from clever engineering to medical emergency.
Yes. The venous drainage is where the anatomy turns into a matter of life and death, especially for people with liver disease.
This is the portal system.
The portal system. This is the concept that's hardest to grasp, but most important. The blood leaving your stomach, your intestines, your spleen. It does not go straight back to the heart.
It is a mandatory layover.
A mandatory inspection. The liver is like TSA. You've just absorbed all this food, toxins, medications from your gut into your blood. You can't send that straight to your brain. It has to be filtered.
So all the veins from the gut, the splenic, the mesenteric, they all merge.
They merge into one massive superhighway, the portal vein. and the gastric veins from the stomach jump on this highway right before it enters the liver.
Okay, so normally traffic is flowing.
Yeah.
Portal vein into the liver. Liver cleans the blood. Blood goes to the heart. System works.
Until it doesn't. Enter cirrhosis.
The scarring of the liver.
Right. From alcohol, viruses, whatever. Mechanically, the result is the same. The liver tissue, which should be soft like a filter, turns into a brick. It gets scarred and hard.
So the portal vein is trying to push blood into a brick wall.
Exactly. And the pump is still running. Blood is still coming from the gut. But the drain is clogged. The pressure in the portal veins skyrockets. That's portal hypertension.
And the blood has to go somewhere.
It has to. And since it can't go forward through the liver, the flow literally reverses. It backs up. It looks for escape routes.
And the escape routes are those little tributary veins from the stomach.
Yes. Specifically the left gastric vein. The blood makes a U-turn and floods back toward the stomach and esophagus.
But those veins aren't built for that kind of pressure.
Not at all. They're thin-walled, low-pressure vessels. And suddenly they're handling fire hose levels of volume. So they balloon out, they become swollen and tortuous. We call them varices.
Like a varicose vein, but inside your throat.
Exactly. But they're right under this thin lining, and they're fragile. If the pressure gets too high, or if a patient eats something sharp, like a tortilla chip,
They burst.
and it is one of the most dramatic and dangerous emergencies in all of medicine. A variceal bleed. High volume bleeding into the stomach. And the tragedy is, the problem isn't the stomach. The stomach is an innocent bystander.
The problem is the traffic jam miles away in the liver.
Correct. The stomach's plumbing failed because the liver's architecture collapsed.
It just connects everything. The artery masquerading as a tumor, the liver scarring causing the stomach to bleed. Nothing's isolated.
Nothing is isolated. That's the biggest takeaway. The body is built on redundancy for survival, like those backup arteries, but that same connectivity is its vulnerability. When a major node like the liver fails, the consequences just ripple everywhere.
We've covered a huge amount of ground today, from the Z-line to the pylorus, the celiac tripod to the portal hypertension backup.
It's a lot, but hopefully it gives you a mental model. The next time you think about your stomach, don't think of a bag. Think of that muscular, ridged, highly vascular machine that's in constant negotiation with your liver.
I definitely will. And I'll probably chew my food a little better to help out that antrum grinder.
You would appreciate that.
If you want to see these structures with your own eyes, and I highly recommend seeing that fake tumor pulse for yourself, go to the source.
It is absolutely worth the watch.
Dr. G.S. Raju's YouTube. Check it out. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Anytime.